The Trump administration is looking to name San Antonio's Ed Whitacre Jr., a former chief executive of General Motors and AT&T, as the new U.S. ambassador to Mexico. Retiring House Speaker Joe Straus is funneling campaign cash to political allies being opposed by fellow Republican Governor Greg Abbott in the upcoming primary election, with $600,000 given to 2 GOP political committees. The City Council votes unanimously to reform an ordinance that some say infringed on residents' First Amendment rights, now making it easier to assemble, protest, and march in San Antonio. And Bexar County voters looking to avoid long waits at the polls on Election Day have from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. today to cast an early vote in the March 6th primary election. Good morning. Those are your headlines from expressnews.com. I'm Chance Dorland with your Express News briefing for Friday, March 2nd. Brought to you this morning by North Park Mazda, the #1 Mazda dealer in Texas last month. 76-year-old San Antonio resident Ed Whitacre Jr., the former chairman and CEO of General Motors and AT&T, is widely being reported as the Trump administration's pick as the next U.S. ambassador to Mexico, replacing Roberta Jacobson, who said Thursday she would step down in the spring. Thursday, Mexican newspaper Reforma also reported the Trump administration had sought a beneplácito, or Mexican government approval, for the possible appointment of Whitacre. A Texas Tech graduate born in Ennis, Whitacre would bring at least 2 key relationships to the position, as he's partnered with Mexican billionaire Carlos Slim and served on the board of Exxon when Secretary of State Rex Tillerson was CEO. Jacobson's departure comes as U.S. relations with Mexico are strained by President Trump's continued push to make Mexico pay for a border wall and repeated threats to withdraw the U.S. from NAFTA. On his way out of office, House Speaker Joe Straus is funneling campaign cash to political allies. Republican Governor Greg Abbott is trying to oust in the March 6 primary. Finance reports show since January, the San Antonio Republican has poured $600,000 into 2 GOP political committees, backing sitting House members who face challengers from the right. The 5-term speaker also cut a $10,000 campaign check to San Antonio Representative Lyle Larson, who's facing Abbott-endorsed Hollywood Park Mayor Chris Fails. Straus spokesman Jason Embry says the speaker is investing time and resources into supporting legislators who provide principled Republican leadership for their communities. The money could help counter thousands of dollars Governor Abbott has pumped into unseating 3 House members, who earlier challenged him on ethics reform in a cash fight that demonstrates ongoing tensions between high-powered GOP leaders who clashed last year when Straus opposed a bill Abbott wanted restricting public bathroom use by transgender people. Last year, after announcing he wouldn't seek re-election, Straus had a formidable $10 million in campaign cash and pledged to support responsible Republicans in the primary. The heavy lifting for the San Antonio Professional Firefighters Association's Charter Amendment petition drive is not coming from firefighters, but instead being done by contract workers who are receiving $2 per valid signature they obtain. Many of the workers are from outside the state and only arrived in San Antonio this past week, reciting talking points provided for them in training sessions by a contractor. The petition workers were hired by Texas Petition Strategies, which has built its name over the past 15 years by handling petition drives for alcohol-related local elections. However, when last summer the Houston Firefighters Union approached the firm to help them with a pay parity drive, paying Texas Petition Strategies $265,000, the campaign bolstered the company's image in firefighter circles, leading to a call about a month ago from the San Antonio Firefighters Association. Texas Petition Strategies only needs to obtain 20,000 valid signatures to get each of the SAPFA's 3 proposed amendments on the ballot. And the success or failure of the firefighters' campaign will carry no consequences for the contract workers, who will be long gone by the time San Antonio faces a possible charter amendment election in November. The Firefighters Union is seeking to make it easier for voters to use the referendum process to overturn ordinances passed by the City Council. stretching the signature gathering period for petitions from 40 to 180 days and lowering the bar from about 75,000 signatures to 20,000. They also want to cap the city manager's pay at 10 times the amount received by the lowest paid full-time city employee and term limit the city manager to 8 years in office. One of the proposals would also give the union the power to force the city into binding arbitration whenever the two sides reach an impasse in contract negotiations. Local elected officials and business leaders contend the proposed amendments would paralyze San Antonio's government and imperil the credit ratings of city utilities. Thursday, the City Council voted unanimously to make it easier to assemble, protest, and march in San Antonio. The overhaul of the city's decades-old parade ordinance removes fees associated with permitting and traffic safety, creates an office to handle permits for processions and public assemblies, protects spontaneous assemblies, reduces the amount of required advance notice from 30 to 15 days, and identifies free speech zones at International Airport. The original ordinance was adopted in 2007 and updated a year later. Some say the previous rules infringed on residents' First Amendment rights, and local activists have long challenged the regulations, noting that assessing fees for permits and traffic control have a chilling effect on free speech. Today is the last day of early voting in Bexar County for March 6 primary races. Voters looking to avoid long lines at the polls on Election Day have until 8 p.m. this evening to cast their ballots. Then polls open again Tuesday from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Data from the Bexar County Elections Department shows that as of Thursday, more than 33,000 Democrats have voted compared with some 26,000 Republicans, a reverse of numbers from the same point in 2014, when only approximately 20,000 Democrats and roughly 26,000 Republicans had cast ballots in person. Some of the busiest locations for both parties this year include Brook Hollow and Cody Libraries on the north and northwest sides. In addition to these headlines, today our reporters are tracking down more stories, including what Trinity University officials knew about the troubled relationship between cheerleader Kaylee Mandotti and Mark Howerton, the man authorities this week charged with her October 2016 sexual assault and murder. We're also investigating the thousands of dollars in campaign contributions Texas state lawmakers have received from pro-gun groups the last 3 years as they watered down firearm restrictions, such as permitting the open carry of handguns and reducing license fees. And finally, as a debate over Confederate monuments rages in Texas and nationwide, we investigate how the issue is dividing the Republican race for land commissioner, while fueling opposition against an agency proposal to relocate the Alamo Cenotaph. And that's your Express Briefing for Friday, March 2nd from expressnews.com. Brought to you this morning by North Park Mazda, the #1 Mazda dealer in Texas last month. I'm Chance Dorland.